Okay, so I'm going to try another problem. All right, let's take a look. All right, so let's see what we have here. All right, so we have, it says, how many points of intersection are there of the graphs whose equations are y equals negative in parentheses x minus 3 squared plus 3 and y equals in parentheses x plus 3 squared minus 3. So we want to see how many points of intersection there are for the graphs of these equations. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. I would think that one way would be to try to graph this. And but before I graph it, I just want to point out a couple of things that you know when you're trying to make a quick graph, certain things that you should realize about graphs, right? So like if you have a function, let's say here's a function f of x, right? So if I want to if I negate that function, if I put a negative sign on it, so negative f of x, well, that makes the function goes upside down, like so flips upside down, right? That's one thing, right? And another case would be if you had f of x, and let's say you add a constant to it, right? So I just say plus a, right? So then it just moves, it just goes up a, right? Again, I could have a function f of x minus a. So that means it goes down by a, right? You could have a situation where you can have f of, and you could have inside the parentheses f of x plus a. And that's a little bit, you might expect it to go right, but it actually goes left. So it goes, so when you have plus a, it goes left a, right? And if I had f of x minus a, I'll just say it goes right. I don't have to write the goals there. Right. A. So these are just certain things. And this problem seems to be kind of demonstrating some of these different characteristics. All right, so let's just try to, using that idea, let's see if we can just try to make a sketch of this graph. Right, so first let me just draw an x and y axis. So here's x and y axis. And the first one, just looking at this one, right? So it's negative. So it looks like it's based on, if you just took x squared, which is just, you should always remember that x squared is just a parabola. And that just looks like this, right? Just a parabola, right? If you had a graph, right? It starts from 0, 0, 0, right? And you have this parabola here, right? So it looks like this, it has the negative. So that would be taking a parabola and flipping it upside down. And at the same time, inside the parentheses, it's -3. So that's saying it's going right 3. So let's say let's count 1, 2, 3. And then it's also going, it's +3. That's outside the parentheses. So it's taking the graph and moving it up 3. So 1, 2, 3. So again, it's a parabola and with the negative sign. So that's saying that it's going to be starting from here, it's going to be going upside down. So it would look something like that. Right. And then let's look at the second graph, right? So the second graph, again, it's a parabola, but this one, it's not negative. It's just going to be a regular parabola. But it's saying +3. So +3 means that it goes left 3. So let me just count 3. 1, 2, 3. And then it's -3. So that means it's going down 3. right? So 1, 2, 3. And then so it would be starting here and you would just get a regular parabola, right? And just from drawing the sketch, I mean, it looks pretty clear that these two graphs are not meeting. So I would say that the answer would be 0. But just to show you another way of doing this, you basically could have done this by solving an equation, right? So let me just get rid of all this and do it that way. And so you have y equals this expression here, and you have y equals that expression. So we could basically just create an equation setting those two expressions equal to each other, right? So I'll take the first one. So negative x minus 3 squared, all right, plus 3, right? I took this part of the expression, and that I'll set, because basically the y is equal to the y. So I'm just basically setting these two equal to each other, right? So this is equal to y plus 3 squared minus 3, right? So we basically want to try to solve this. Right off the bat, you know what, I guess maybe I could just try to get this minus this 3 on one side, right? So let me just do that. Just try to get the numbers onto one side, right? So I'll just say minus 3. So then I get, this goes away. This will come down, negative x minus 3 squared equals x plus 3 squared. And then the minus 3 and the minus 3 gives you minus 6, right? So now I just have to work out this stuff in the parentheses here, right? So, well, for one thing, I know I got to keep that negative sign, and let me just let's just work on squaring this x minus 3 in the parentheses. And so if let me just open a parentheses here. So I know that I'm going to have x times x, which is going to give me x squared. And I'm also going to wind up having a negative 3x 2 times. I'm going to have negative 3x is going to be multiplied 2 times. You're going to wind up with negative 6x. And then you're going to wind up multiplying negative 3 times negative 3. So you're going to wind up getting positive 9, right? And all of that, close parentheses. And then on this side, again, it'll be sort of like the same thing. X times x, you're going to get an x squared, right? And again, you're going to wind up multiplying 3x. You're going to wind up multiplying it 2 times. So it's going to be a 6x plus 6x plus 9, right? And then this minus 6 comes down, right? So now let me work on negating everything inside these parentheses here. So you'll have negative x squared, and negative of negative 6 becomes positive 6x, and negative of 9 becomes negative 9 equals x squared plus 6x. And I could combine this 9 and negative 6, that gives you a 3, right? Well, you can notice right away that you have 6x and 6x on both sides. I could subtract that on both sides. I could just basically get rid of that. So let me just get rid of the 6x on both sides. And then I'm left with this negative x squared minus 9, the square, equals x squared plus 3, right? So let me just try to get everything onto one side, and I'll set it to 0 and see if I can solve it, right? So what I'll do is I'll just do positive x squared positive x, what's x squared, I'm sorry, positive x squared, and then positive 9 here, positive 9, and then I get it. So I get 0 equals x squared plus x squared. So you get 2x squared plus 12. 0 equals 0x squared plus 12, right? So let me write this again over here. So we have 0 equals 2x squared plus 12, right? So what I'll do is it's just minus the 12 on both sides. And I wind up getting negative 12 equals 2x squared divided by 2. I wind up getting negative 6 equals x squared. So the thing is to get, and you can't get a square root of a negative number. So that's basically telling you that there's no solution. So basically, you could have done this algebraically. See, obviously it takes a long time like this. It's probably easier doing it by the graphing method, but I guess you can clearly see here that the answer is that there are 0 solutions. Okay, so that's the answer to that. All right, so we did another problem. Okay, we did another problem. Okay,